Now, how does a potentiometer work? How does a potentiometer work? Simply understand the fact that a potentiometer is simply a variable resistor. What is it? It is a variable resistor. The variable resistor. Now let's say that it is in some kind of a circuit like this. Give me a minute. And this is a major circuit. What is this called? A primary circuit. And this primary circuit has a driver cell. This cell is called a driver cell. I will write here. And there is a main current passing through the circuit. Of course, this is going to be connected and it is a variable resistor here. This is basically a potentiometer right here. This is a potentiometer right here. Okay. Now look here. Let's say that this is a primary circuit and there is a secondary circuit connected to it in this way. Okay, a secondary circuit which has some potential here. Some kind of a potential, some kind of a battery, anything you can take away. Okay, any type of a major circuit, some circuit or anything, it has a potential which is being created at these 2 points. Okay, so what I want to tell you is this entire big circuit is called a primary circuit. What is it called? A primary circuit. And the smaller part of the circuit is called the secondary circuit. Secondary circuit. Now, one thing I want you to understand here is that if I balance, I want you all to respond. I want you all to respond here. If this is a galvanometer right here, if I take this galvanometer and put it at a point where the current through the galvanometer is 0, will there be any current passing from the primary circuit to the secondary circuit? Will there be any current passing from the primary circuit to the secondary circuit? If suppose the galvanometer here has a current, I have balanced it in such a way that the current through it is 0. Will there be any current in the secondary circuit? Will there be a current here?
No,
Yes,
sir.
no, no. Someone said no. Does anyone else have any other answer? Okay, so remember one thing, that if this is a primary circuit and the secondary circuit has a galvanometer, okay, connected to the primary circuit, and if I balance this galvanometer on this big variable resistor here, this is a resistor, it's a big large one, just like the meter bridge concept. If I balance the galvanometer to such a point where the current through it is 0, there won't be any current passing from this. The current which is I over here will simply be the same I over here. It is not going to go through here. Why? If the current through this point is 0, through this galvanometer is 0, okay, then the current in this entire circuit is going to be 0. What I mean is, there won't be any current passing from the main circuit to the secondary circuit. It is possible that there is a circuit over here and it has its own current, but both of those currents will never mix. There won't be any interaction between both those currents. Why? Because the galvanometer has been balanced here in such a way that the current through the galvanometer is 0. Okay, let's talk about potential gradient now. What do you mean by a potential gradient? Okay, potential gradient simply means that when you are moving along this, resistance, okay, suppose I'm walking from this point to this point. Here, as I keep moving, what is happening? The resistance is increasing. But if the resistance is increasing, what else is increasing? If I say V is equal to IR and I'm telling that I is constant, if the resistance increases, what else is increasing? Can you tell me? The potential also increases. So what is the meaning of potential gradient? potential gradient, this term potential gradient, I will write here. Potential, these terms are important. Potential gradient. What is the meaning of potential? Potential gradient simply means the rate of change of potential, the rate of change of potential with respect to the length of the resistor, with respect to the length of the resistor. As the length increases, okay, as the length increases, a certain quantity increases. A certain quantity increases. Now resistance increases with respect to length. How do we know? R is equal to what? Can I say R is equal to rho L by A? Yes or no? So as the length increases, the resistance increases. As the resistance increases, I know V is equal to IR, where I is constant. So V will increase, potential will increase. So have you all understood what is the meaning of potential gradient? All of you all? Okay. You all have understood? Give me a response,
Yes, sir.
everyone. Yeah?
Yes,
No one is
sir.
giving, only one person is giving. But okay. Let's say that there is a certain potential. Let's say that this is a point A and this is a point B. Let's take the point of the galvanometer to be C. Okay. Now, what is going to be the potential V? Okay, V across this entire resistor. Can you tell me? Across this entire resistor, what will it be?
V.
Yeah. No, what in terms of current and resistance, what will it be? Isn't it going to be V is equal to I into R times A to B, RAB, the entire resistor RAB. I'll do one thing. Since I've drawn the diagram very big, I will draw it a little bit shorter. Just pay attention. Okay. So now the potential across this entire resistor, can I say it is V naught is equal to the current passing through this I into RAB? Can I say that? Yes or no? Okay. So now what is the length of this? Can I say the length? Let's consider another thing. Let's consider another parameter. Length of the resistor to be LAB. To be LAB. In that case, the potential gradient K is basically the rate of change of potential, with respect to rate of change of distance. Okay, which I can say this is a general form. So in this form, if I substitute, it's going to be delta V, okay, or maybe V naught over here, which is the entire potential of this resistance upon the length L. So potential gradient, as I said, is basically the rate of change of potential with respect to the rate of change of distance, V naught by L. If that is clear, just substitute K is equal to, okay, K equal to V naught upon L equals to, can I say V naught in terms of, can I write it in terms of I and R? Yes, of course I can write it. So I will write I times RAB upon the length. And I can write resistance in the form of rho L by A. Okay, I can write it in the form of rho L by A. So in that case, I can say that this IRAB is going to be I times rho L upon L. And in this, you can see that L and L gets cancelled. Of course, there's a A over here. It's rho L by A. So K will be equal to, what do we get finally? I into rho by A. K is equal to I into rho by A. So this is the expression of the potential gradient. What is this? This is the expression of the potential gradient for a primary circuit. For a primary circuit, all we did was we found out the entire potential V across A and B. We said that the potential V naught is equal to I into R times RAB, and also we found out the length of it. Okay, we found out the length. We considered it to be LAB. Now, if we want to find out potential gradient, the general definition of potential gradient is rate of change of potential with respect to rate of change of the distance across which the potential is changing. So I have written V naught upon L. K is equal to V naught upon L. V naught I have written in terms of I into R times R, I into R upon L. R can be written as rho L by A. I hope you have this is the in the first lecture we have done this rho L by A. You can also write it as 1 by sigma, where conductivity comes in in the picture. So R is equal to rho L by A. I substituted that in the place of RAB, and finally I got this expression K is equal to I into rho upon A. This is the simple expression of potential gradient. This is a simple expression of potential gradient. So now, in short, can I say that K, the potential gradient, depends upon what? Can you tell me what it depends on, all of you? No answer.
Area.
The potential, it depends upon area. Okay, provided the current is constant. Okay, so this is some small examples of it. Let's go to one sum if you have understood this, or let's go to an example. Let's go to an example where a potentiometer is used. Some cases. It is used for comparing two EMFs. Used for comparing two EMFs. All you have to do is draw the primary circuit with a resistor, of course. It can be a rheostat or whatever. In this case, we will take a long conductor here. In this, I'm drawing it in a short way, just like the one which we drew in meter bridge. And across this, we will connect two batteries in this way. There will be a galvanometer here, and the other end of the galvanometer will be okay. So you can see this basic arrangement. The basic arrangement basically is here. There's a primary circuit. Okay, there's some resistance R over here, and the primary circuit has a conductor like this, which is having some potential gradient across it. There is a secondary circuit which has two EMFs, let's say epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, and the galvanometer is balanced in such a way that the current through this galvanometer is 0. In that case, the primary circuit is having some current I, and this current I will not interfere with the secondary current, will not interfere with the current going inside this secondary circuit. Okay. So now, if we consider this entire length of this conductor to be AB, and the jockey of the galvanometer touching at a point, let's say it's going to be J. So in that case, can I say that VAJ, that is the potential across A to J only, will be what? Will be what? In terms of potential gradient, let's say that it is K times L1. If we consider the length of this to be L1 and consider the length of this to be L2, A to J is L1 and J to B is L2. Okay. So then voltage across, the potential across A to J will be what? K times L1. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why it is K times L1? Simply remember that K is what? K is potential, rate of change of potential with rate of change of distance across which the potential is changing. So just rearrange this. You can write delta x to be what? Delta x can be, you can write it as, you can rearrange the term delta V is equal to delta x times k or k times delta x. Same thing I have written here, k into L1. So if I know that Vaj is k times L1, in that case, I can write this also, that KL1, look here, k times L1, if this entire thing is balanced, and what I do is basically I close this point here. I close this point. Then let's consider that I open this point. There are two switches here in such a way that I can close one point, open another one. Okay, two switches. If I close the upper switch, can I say that epsilon 1 will be the one inside this? The potential across this entire thing will be epsilon 1. Yes or no? There are two switches. I open the switch of epsilon 2. So epsilon 2 is not in the picture right now. Only epsilon 1 is. If you close the switch, then the potential across these 2 points, across this entire circuit here, will be what? Epsilon 1. So k times L1 will be equal to epsilon 1. By what means I am saying it is equal to epsilon 1? Of course, it is balanced. It is the concept of meter bridge here. That k times L1, which is basically the potential across A and J, will be equal to the potential across the secondary circuit, provided the galvanometer has a current 0 going through it. Okay. Similarly, if I open this and I close this, then can I say that Vaj dash will be equal to some potential KL2, which will be equal to epsilon 2. Yes or no? If I'm changing the potential over here, let's say it is a higher potential, then the galvanometer has to be readjusted. Why? Because it's a different potential. If the galvanometer has to be readjusted, then it will be having some length 2, L2. So I have written Vaj dash right now will be equal to some k times L2, which will be equal to epsilon 2. So these are my two equations. From these two equations, okay, what we can say is if we take the ratio of both of this, what will we get? We'll get L1 by L2 equal to
Epsilon,
epsilon 1
epsilon 2.
epsilon 2. So here you can see that you can find out the potential epsilon 1 or epsilon 2 based on the length of the conductor. You can find the potential in the secondary circuit using this ratio. That is how we can compare two EMFs. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to the third one. Let's go to another similar application of it. Let's say that it is having the same circuit. Some variable resistance here. And then it is connected across a long conductor like this. It has a primary circuit in which one is the EMF with some internal resistance. I hope this is clear. Is the diagram clear? Are you able to see the diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, this is a primary circuit, secondary circuit. Okay, so let's open this. I'll tell you the arrangement about. There is some EMF, let's say epsilon here, with a small resistance R. Okay, this is the EMF I'm talking about here. There is some known resistance here, capital R. I know this resistance, but I don't know the resistance of this EMF. Of course, here I am not here. What is happening? Basically, there's a battery with some internal resistance I don't know. Okay, I want to find out that internal resistance. So basically, this is the second application of potentiometer. The first one was what? Comparing two EMFs. How we compare two EMFs with respect to the length of the conductor, change in length of the conductor. Here what I'm doing, the second example here, the second case here is to find out the magnitude of the internal resistance. Find out the magnitude of the internal resistance. So how will we do that? You put it across, okay, this circuit where we have a primary circuit, a driver cell, some current passing through it. Let's call this V. Okay, there is a secondary circuit. Listen to me. There is a potential here with some internal resistance, and there is a known resistance with a key over here which I can switch on and switch off. Okay, which I can switch on and switch off. Now, right now, let's say that I opened this key. So I will write first thing is open the key. So if I open that key, current will pass through. If the current has to anyway pass, let's say it's not balanced now. If the current has to pass, it will pass only through the upper length of the circuit. You understand that? Only through the upper one, not through the lower branch, because I have opened it. Let's say this is open condition. In that case, can I say that epsilon will be equal to K times L1? Can I say that this potential will be equal to the K times the potential gradient into some length of this conductor? Yes or no? Can I say that? Okay, so let's consider that to be the first equation. After that, let's say that I close this key. I close the key. So second thing is close the key. If I close the key, there will be some current passing through this secondary circuit. Can you see if I close the key, this potential is there, this resistor is there, the key is closed, and there will be some current which is passing through this cell in this circuit only. Of course, the current through this and this will not interfere with each other if I am balancing the galvanometer. Right now, let's consider it to be balanced. So in that case, this current and this current are not interfering with each other. There is some current over here which is going in its loop only. In that case, can I say that the current I through this secondary circuit is going to be equal to what? Potential upon resistance, V by R. But what is the potential here? It is epsilon. What is the resistance? Total resistance, can I say, is capital R plus the internal resistance of the battery. Can I say that? So I will write that capital R plus small r. Okay. Also, can I say that if I have closed this key, earlier it was open, but now if I close the key, then there will be there has to be some change in the position of the galvanometer, because if you close this, there is a change in the potential because resistance have come now into the picture. In that case, galvanometer has to be readjusted. So in that case, I can say that now the potential after closing the key is some K times L2. Here it was K times L1. Here it is K times L2. K times L2. Yes or no? Yes or no? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so K times L2 is also going to be equal to I times R. I into the resistance. I into resistance. K times L2 will be also equal to I times the resistor in the circuit, in the secondary circuit. In that case, simply substitute this value. Simply substitute the value of the current in this equation. What you will get? K times L2 equals to I ka jagah mein you put this. It will be epsilon upon capital R plus small r into R. Into R. Let's consider this to be the third equation. And this is the second. So from 1 and 3, can we see KL1 and KL2? KL1 and KL2. Just divide these two equations. What will you get? What will you get? KL1 upon KL2, KL1 upon KL2. Of course, it's going to be L1 upon L2. Will be simply what? Epsilon upon R plus R. What this turns out to be? It will be equal to capital R plus small r upon capital R. Yes or no? So I can say that L1 by L2, basically L1 by L2 will be equal to capital R plus R upon small r. In that case, if I rearrange this term, I can write it as 1 plus small r upon capital R. Again, if I, okay, 1, I hope you all are able to see. So in that case, L1 by L2, I have just rearranged this entire term. It is 1 plus small r plus capital R. Okay, so if I have to find out what is internal resistance small r, can I say that R is going to be equal to, R will be equal to, just rearranging the term L1 by L2 minus 1 into capital R. So a potentiometer here can be, you can see, using this entire circuit, you can even find out the internal resistance of the battery. The first case we saw was finding out the potential. Okay, you can use it to compare two potentials. In this small circuit, in the second case, we are using it to find out the internal resistance of the battery. So this is the second application of it. This is the second application of it. Okay, how much time we got? Taken the attendance? Taken? Okay. Let's look at the third application and the last application. Third and the last application. Okay. So now, this is the third application, and the third application is basically to find out the current if resistance is known. If you know this resistance R, okay, how can you find out the current through it? The resistance, the small resistor here, I've taken it capital R. And yes, you can consider it to be a balanced circuit where the galvanometer has zero current passing through it. So in that case, can I say the potential across this resistor here, okay, across this resistor, only in this circuit I'm saying, will be what? V is equal to I into R. That's the most basic thing I can tell you. There's a potential here, there's a resistor here. I can use this application, V is equal to IR. But it is equal to what? It is, the galvanometer has been balanced at some point of this conducting wire. So in that case, I can also say that that potential V is equal to IR is equal to some potential gradient into the length of this conductor. So I can say it is K times L1. I can say it is K times L1. So in that case, you can see here that IR is going to be equal to K times L1, and R will be equal to K times L1 upon I. So if you know the current, if you know the length at which the conductor is being balanced, you will come to know the value of the resistor. You will be able to find out the magnitude of the resistor if you know the current I and if you know the length L1 across this conducting rod or conducting wire. These are the basic applications which should be actually done in practicals. It's much more easier to understand in practicals than to understand it in the lecture. So I hope you all have got the gist of this. Please go through this in your books. It is very well written in your books. And since there is hardly any time left, we will be starting with moving charges and magnetism. Moving charges and magnetism in the next lecture, that is in the afternoon around 2:20. So I hope you all have understood current electricity. This was the last lecture of current electricity. Does anyone have a doubt in this? In anything which I have taught so far?
No, sir.
Everyone has understood. Okay, so we have done what a resistor is, what conductivity is, what resistivity is. We have looked what drift velocity is. We have seen what KVL is, Kirchhoff law is, junction law is. We have done so many circuits. We have found out equivalent resistance. Then we have seen meter bridge, potentiometer. We have even seen measuring instruments. Okay, so the next part of this is basically continuation in AC circuits, and that will be, I think, in your 5th or 6th chapter. So we'll be continuing the same concepts. So please revise through these concepts. They'll be very helpful. I'll see you all in the next lecture. Thank you everyone for joining in.